now we're going to take our messenger code and vectorize it for print applications. You may want to have this on like a business card, a sticker, a t-shirt, or a banner. Even if you are a business and you have, maybe even put this on your car, and turn your car to like a business, asset or whatever, so you can write it off as a business expense. So putting a sticker on your car to kind of monetize and advertise, to do some marketing when you drive around. If you have a business where you prefer for people to message you on Facebook, you can print this off and have a pretty good quality sticker on the window. And you can even have it to where, of course, I recommend having a white background around the messenger code. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to vectorize this. I prefer to use Adobe Fireworks because the workflow is more user friendly. It's quicker for me to manipulate vectors, and I can save the file, the vector graphic, in an Adobe Photoshop format, in Adobe Illustrator format, and other popular Adobe formats. Whereas in Photoshop, I can't necessarily save it backwards compatible to Fireworks, even though I can save it to Illustrator from Photoshop. Fireworks just allows me to do much more, and it's simple where it needs to be simple. Whereas Fireworks, you kind of have so many different options, it gets a little overwhelming for a beginner designer. So the first thing I do when I open Fireworks, which you can get a free trial, I think you may be able to get this in Adobe Creative Suite if you pay for like $16 a month from Adobe. But check into adobe.com, search for Fireworks in the search bar, and you should see where you can download a free trial, or if you can purchase it outright. And I'm using Adobe Fireworks CS6 actually, but I want to open up our messenger code. So first I'm actually just going to do, let's say our Memphis Entrepreneur Club page. All right, let's see. So I have 3 screens. So I usually have this bar. I usually have, these different sections of these bars on different screens so that I can have my full image that I'm designing actually be on this one monitor that I'm using to stream this video. But for now, this is cool. We'll keep it like this. When I open up my messenger code, the first thing I like to do is draw a circle in the middle of the screen. And I'm going to center this on my canvas. I'm going to take this circle and transform it out to the outer edge of my image. And I'm going to bring this actually down to the very bottom layer. I'm going to duplicate it, Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to move it up 1 layer. I'm going to bring the transparency down a bit. And then I'm going to Control-T to transform this down to the size of my profile image. And I hit Alt on the keyboard to resize this from the center. If I don't hold Alt, this is going to resize this from the bottom or from the opposite corner of where I'm dragging to transform this vector. All right, so I make this the same size of my profile image. I'm going to hide that as well. I'm going to grab a new circle and I hold Shift when I draw this out to make sure it's not, an ellipse or a oval. Again, I'm going to change the transparency down, and I'm going to move this down here. We're going to try to overlap this on the little messenger icon. Okay. That's good enough for me. All right, so I'm going to hide that. And then I'll go in here and I'll actually take our pen tool and This doesn't necessarily have to be perfect because this actually isn't rendered. It's not registered when you scan your messenger code. This isn't registered as a part of your code. So it doesn't necessarily have to be as accurate as you might think. So this little lightning bolt, let me change the color of it. I'm going to show this ellipse that I just drew, this circle, change the color of it to maybe like a green. All right, so I've got this circle and I've got this lightning bolt. I'm going to duplicate my circle. And I'm going to take the circle, the original circle, and transform it again from the center, holding Alt as I transform it, out to this white outer edge of this circle in our profile image right here. And I'm going to hide that. I'm going to take this green circle and this lightning bolt. Okay, I'm going to select both of them. The lightning bolt should be on top of the green circle. Okay, so I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to go up to Modify, Combine Paths, Punch. Now we have this green circle with the hole in it. Okay, I'm going to show this big circle that I use for my profile image. I'm going to unhide that layer. And then I'm going to take this circle we drew on top of the messenger icon, which should also be on top of the profile circle, if that makes sense. You've got this circle here and then this green big circle on top of the layer. If you select both of those, we're going to go to Modify, Combine Paths, and Punch. It's just going to punch out the shape that's on top and leave the shape that's on the bottom. So now we have this kind of almost like an Apple logo where it looks like a piece of it has been bitten off. Okay. So if I hide my bitmap, the original image, basically we have this big background, which I'm going to actually turn white, this big circle in the back. We have this profile image section. I'm going to make this black and bring it back to full color. And then we've got this green icon. I'm going to turn this, I'll keep it green, I guess. Okay, now we need to grab our messenger code. So I'm going to hide every layer except for our bitmap image. Okay. What I like to do is duplicate this. Command Shift D or Control Shift D as in dog to duplicate. Now we have two layers. I'm going to take the duplicated layer and I'm going to transform it from the center to make it really big. And I'll hit Command or Control Alt F to fit the canvas to this bigger image. Now we've got this big image and this little one. What I'll do now is take this image, I'll go down to the filters and click on the plus to add a filter. I'm going to go to adjust color and I like to do levels. We're going to take the input levels and adjust the outer edges. So the first input, you've got three boxes here. Basically, one controls the far right, one controls the far left, and one controls the center. I'm going to bring the far left in a little bit, and basically this will make our darks way darker. As you can see, it basically turned our whole profile image black. And then this far right one, if we drag it in, is going to make our whites wider. And then we'll take some contrast. We'll put some contrast in here. We'll take this middle one and drag it to the right a little bit. Okay, to make our darks even darker and keep our whites white. I'm going to click on OK. So now if I zoom in, this is basically what we have. As you can see there, it's a little bit pixelated around the edges, but the white is still very white. Let me show you the difference. It's a little more defined. So this is without the effect. This is with the levels turned on. Okay, the difference is boom, boom. Now I'm going to take this top image that we added this effect to, and I'm going to, you can either go to right click and flatten layers. Actually, no, you don't want to do that. You can right click and I think it's merge down. Okay, I think that's right. Maybe not. No, because it'll actually merge all your visible layers. So what I like to use with the keyboard is actually Control Shift Alt and Z. Let me see if that's on here. Control Alt Shift Z, flatten selection. Okay, so that's the one we want to do. So I've got this section, this image that I've added this filter to. As you can see, I can turn this filter on and off, or I can edit the filter, but we want to merge this filter to the image itself. So Control Alt Shift and Z, or right click and flatten selection. You also want to make sure you only have that one image layer selected to flatten. Now I can't remove the filter that we created. It's permanent. The next thing I want to do is go over to filters and click on other, and we're going to convert this to an alpha. Okay, so we've got this layer that's still on right here. I'm going to turn that layer off. I'm going to hide it. And now we've got an alpha version of the big image that we created, that we duplicated. What I want to do is flatten this again. So it's got a filter on it, but it's not, the filter is not applied yet to the actual bitmap image. So we're going to hit Command or Control Shift Alt Z, or right click and flatten selection. All right, so now this is actually a transparent PNG. It's not a vector yet. What we need to do is go and grab our polygon lasso tool. By default, this will be just a regular rounded lasso tool. We want the polygon lasso tool. And we're gonna grab everything inside of our profile image. Plus the messenger logo. Make sure you don't grab any of your messenger code. And make sure you're only lassoing in the transparent area. You want to connect what you've lassoed. You should have in the lasso your profile image and the messenger code. Really, you can just hit Control X to cut it out of this layer, Control D to deselect. I'm going to click on my mouse pointer tool, and then we're going to hit Control V as in Victor to paste. Now it's on its own separate layer. We're going to hide it for now. We've got our messenger code here. We're going to take our messenger code. Sometimes I like to duplicate it. Since this was kind of blue, it left a little bit of transparency in the image. If we hit Control Shift D, it'll do and duplicate it maybe twice, maybe 3 times. These 3 layers that are all, or these 4 layers that all have a little bit of transparency overlapping each other, will actually turn the entire messenger code black, which is cool. Okay, we can deal with that. So you want to select all 4 layers. Okay, we're going to flatten these. Right click, flatten selection, or Control Alt Shift Z. Now it's one whole layer. We'll take our our rectangle lasso tool or polygon selection tool. We're going to select all of the messenger code, which should be on its own individual layer. And you want to make sure that you don't select, you want to make sure you don't do a selection like this to where it only selects a portion of it. You want to select the entire thing. So you zoom out, which you can hit Command or Control and use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, or you can use this drop down here to zoom out to 12%, 25%. You just want to make sure the entire messenger code and the entire canvas is inside of your window. Don't zoom in like this. Okay, zoom all the way out, select the entire thing, Control X as in Xavier, and then Control V as in Victor. Now when you hit Control V to paste this in place, your messenger codes should be outlined with the lasso. Okay, as you can see, this messenger code is lassoed. What we're going to do with this messenger code lassoed is right click. We're going to go over to modify mark and convert this mark to a path, basically converting this lasso to a vector. Okay, so that's pretty good quality. This is a big image. If we zoom into 100%, this is what it looks like. This is about how big it is at 100%. Now we can hide that composite path that we've lassoed or that we've created, and then we can delete this bitmap. Now I'm going to unhide our vector, that's our messenger code. I'm going to unhide the bitmap, that's our profile image and the messenger icon. I'm going to select both of those together, and I'm going to hit Control or Command G to group them. I'm going to unhide our original messenger code, okay, which will look like this. And what I'm going to do with this actually is go over to filters, other, convert to alpha. Right now there is still a big square around this image where there's a little bit of white space. We want to flatten this now while it's converted to an alpha. Flatten selection. Now that square selects only around the messenger code itself. There's no extra white space. So we can take our newly created messenger code that's a vector with this bitmap image, and I'm going to drop this on the very bottom layer, and I'm going to transform it. Control T and use Alt to transform it from the center until this locks onto our top layer, our original layer. Okay, then I'll double click. So let's move this out of the way. You see how they're overlapping now? We just transformed it to make our vector sit on top of our original bitmap. Okay. With that selected, we want to hit Command or Control Shift G to ungroup what we originally grouped, which is our vector messenger code and this bitmap image. I'll take the bitmap image and delete it. I'll take this other bitmap image and delete it. So we've got our messenger code. We should have this ellipse, this circle that we drew at the beginning of this process, which we want to drop down at the very bottom layer. We should have our profile image vector and our messenger code vector. This is our messenger code. What I'll do is go over to our folder, and I'm going to open this in Adobe Fireworks. Actually, let me just drag it over into Adobe Fireworks since it's already technically opened. And then we're going to take our messenger code, which is a vector, and the messenger logo, which is also a vector, and we're going to adjust the color to blue. So now we can delete this bitmap that we imported into Fireworks. We use this as a reference to grab the color of the code. The next thing I want to do is duplicate our top layer. So this messenger code, I want to Control Shift D to duplicate it. We also want to duplicate this layer. So now we have two overlapping each other, and we want to duplicate the profile image layer. Control Shift D. Okay. So now we have two of these three layers. I want to select each one. You can hold Shift to select multiple items, or Command or Control if you're selecting over here in your layers panel. But I'm going to hold Shift and I'll select each of these. Okay. And then we're going to go up to Modify, Combine Paths, Union. I'll change this to green so you can see basically what I did. This is all one vector. With that selected, I want to also select this white background. I'm going to go to Modify, Combine Paths, Punch. We're going to make sure our three layers that we just combined are on top of the white background, which is also a vector. We're going to punch that top layer out of the white background. Now I'm going to turn this white background, maybe let's say like a purple color, and then I'm going to move it so that you can see what we just did. Okay, we punched all of this data out of our white background. Okay, so let me turn that back white. I'll take this messenger icon in our messenger code. I'll go up to modify, combine paths, and union to join them. Now this is one layer, this is one layer, and this is one layer. The next thing you can do is go over to your desktop or wherever you have your profile or your page profile image saved, and open that with Adobe Fireworks. We're going to copy it, Control C, and then I'm going to paste it here, Control V as in Victor, and I'm going to transform it until it fits into our entire circle. Okay, so usually it'll snap right into place, and in some case it'll be off-centered. So you want to make sure the edges actually touch each edge of our profile image circle. Okay, so if I move it, you see basically what I'm talking about. And I'm going to hit Control X to cut it. I'm going to grab our profile image background, which should be black and at 100%. And I'm going to type, or with this selected, I'm going to, on my keyboard, I'll type Control Shift V as in Victor, or you can right click this black area and we can click on Edit, paste inside. As you can see, the shortcut is Control Shift V. Now we have this section. We have our white background, which is a vector, and we have our blue area. Okay, so these are all vectors, which means you can, do a gradient if you want to. I don't know how well this will scan on your Facebook Messenger app. I don't know, how well that actually will work. But let's try it. Let's see if this will work if we change the colors. So the colors obviously have to be very distinct, but this is basically a vector which we can manipulate now however we wish. And then of course you'll have your image inside of the vector in the middle. Okay, so you definitely want to make this bigger. If you're planning on using this for print, you want to make sure the image, the whole vector, is as big as possible, so that when you paste the actual bitmap image in your profile section and you send this off to a company to print, or you embed this into a business card design, that the image itself is big enough to be printed out in very high quality when they downscale it. So you don't want this to be too small. This right now is at 50%. This is at 100. This image itself at 100% might be too small for us to print on a big banner. So when you go to import your profile picture, you want to make sure that your graphic is at, maybe 150 pixels per inch, or DPIs, or 300 PPI in Photoshop or Fireworks, whatever you're using. For instance, if I hit File New and I open a new document, this is going to pull up 640 by 640 at 72 pixels per inch. You want to change this to 150 or 300. 150 should be good. Obviously, you want the canvas size to be whatever your printing company recommends at minimum. So we can change the canvas size to, let's say, 1024 by 1024 pixels. So if I take this graphic, copy it, and I paste it into my new canvas, it'll ask me if I want to resample that bitmap that's in the center to go from 75 PPI to 150. If I click Don't Resample, it'll paste as the same size. Now I'm going to paste it and click on Resample, and you'll see that it's going to be far bigger. Okay, so we resampled this to 150 pixels per inch. So if I zoom in to 100%, this looks a little bit pixelated. Like, that's really low quality, right? So if you have the vector version of whatever logo you have in the middle, you want to import that vector in there as well, so that the printing company can print that. So let's test this random colored version of our messenger code. I've got to turn on my air server. Okay. I'll open up Messenger and I'll go over to scan code and we're gonna try it. Boom, yeah, it worked. Cool. So for instance, if I go to, I'm gonna search Corey Owens so that I can show you that I'm actually in a different Messenger window. Then I'll go back to scan code. And it'll bring it up. So awesome. So there you have it. Obviously you want to keep the, I like to keep the original color. And boom, it's vectorized. Now, here's the thing, here's the difference about having a vectorized and a rasterized or flattened image. This section right here, actually this is my profile picture, but it's inside of a vector. Okay, it's pasted inside of a vector. So I'm gonna take all of this, I'm gonna group it, and I'm gonna duplicate it. We're gonna keep that one as a backup, this layer, and I'll cut it off. I'll take these 3 layers, which is our white, our blue, and our graphic. And I'm going to transform this down to as small as I can get it. And boom, like look at how small that is. Okay, this is at 6,400%, and it's, okay, this is still a vector. And this white is still a vector, even though it's very pixelated. This background, the inside of this is a vector, but the bitmap inside of the vector is just a flattened bitmap. So what's going to happen when I transform this and make it big again? So let's see. I want to turn this section back on to give us a reference. I'm going to retransform this this graphic, this bitmap, and these 3 layers that I had duplicated back to the original size. And boom, you see what happened? Now you can't read that. Oh, it looks horrible. If you went to get this printed, like you will not know what this says. So because this portion was a bitmap, I couldn't make it small. I couldn't resize it. If I sent this to someone on Facebook, it'll get compressed. It'll lose quality over and over and over again, as long as I keep moving it from one computer to the next, from one person to the next. But this was a bitmap. This was a vector and this was a vector, so it kept its quality. So I'm going to go back and extract this bitmap out of this vector using Control-Shift-G to ungroup it. And here's our vector, still intact, still real crisp, still round edges. And here is our bitmap. Oh, it looks like garbage. So that's why you want to have 150 to 300 PPI when you actually go to create this for a print application, or if you can embed your logo into this graphic as a vector as well. Even if you do have a bitmap image behind the logo, extract the logo from the bitmap image so that the logo keeps its quality when you start resizing it and manipulating it. Okay, so now this is a vector. I'll do the same thing. Actually, I'll take these 3 vector and I'm going to flatten them to where it's a bitmap image. Now we have one big bitmap image, and then we have our original here, which is going to be a vector. I'm going to take this bitmap and I'm going to transform it. I double click in the canvas. Now we've got this bitmap right here. It's no longer a vector. I'm going to go back and transform it again back to its original size, and boom, you see what happened? Oh boy, that looks horrible. So you don't want to try to use this bitmap file to print anything, because this is what'll happen. Okay, so now we've got our vector version. So I can save this as messenger code Memphis Entrepreneur Club, and by default this appends the .fw to show that it's a file that I can open in Fireworks and manipulate the colors. I can manipulate the pixels, the vector lines. Okay, so I'm going to save this as a PNG, and we're going to replace the original one that we had. Now, what I mean by manipulating lines, as you can see, there are lines that are drawn here. If I use my sub-selection tool, I can take each individual line and manipulate the vector. I can manipulate the curvature of each line. Okay, that's what you can do with the vector. Which means I can send this to a printing company for t-shirts and it'll look incredible. I can take this section out completely and only have this printed as a sticker where it has the white and the blue, and then I can put this on my car to where, on the car window, to where this section is actually the car window and this section is the car window. But having this printed, they can bring this up and scan it. Okay. Of course, I can go back and change the profile image if I want to, but there you have it.